Hello everyone, I'm Kevin. From November 2020 until July 2021, 93 of us at St. James's embarked together on an online pilgrimage in a pandemic, which we called Camino Companions. As part of this, we recorded short videos, some of our programs, speaking on particular topics. Here is Jane speaking on the topic of prayer.
One of my earliest memories is of being looked after by my grandmother for the day. When my mum returned, Gran said, "Oh, Jane has been completely beside herself all day." Their reproachful looks told me very clearly that that was not a good thing. And I think the phrase completely beside herself was new to me. And so I've always had it in my memory ever since. And it has been quite significant in some of my life experiences. My sisters, brothers, and I were expected to say our prayers every night. But there was no Christopher Robin style God bless mummy for us. In fact, they were not our prayers. We were taught and learnt by heart 3 prayers: the Lord's Prayer, Hail Mary, and a collect from the Book of Common Prayer that begins, "Prevent us, O Lord, in all our doings." They were all in Elizabethan English, though we were told that prevent meant go before rather than stop. Our response to all this was to rattle them off as fast as possible and be the first to jump into bed. When I was confirmed, I was given a little book of prayers. I'd learnt that going to communion was a very special thing to do, and it was necessary both to fast beforehand and also to prepare yourself with prayers. There were special prayers for this in my little book. By this time, I was at a convent boarding school, and I'd abandoned the idea of nighttime prayers. But I liked going to the convent chapel on some weekday mornings as well as on Sundays. So that involved waking up early and reading the preparation prayers in my book by the light of my torch in the dormitory. What I got from that was a love of the Psalms. The preparation included 2 Psalms, numbers 84 and 130, and they are still both very close to my heart. After that came work, marriage, family, and everything but church on Sunday seemed to be crowded out. My husband was a committed Christian, but he had no tradition of private prayer, and we didn't ask our children to say their prayers. I remember my mum at a similar time in her life saying, "I think I pray when I'm washing up." I'm not sure I even did that. But 2 crises in my life changed that. The first one came gradually. I'm not really sure I was aware of what was happening, but luckily other people were, and I was invited to join a group meeting once a week in someone's house for an Ignatian open door retreat. We were asked to find time, place, and space each day to listen, to be aware of the presence of God and to listen. This was an entirely new idea for me. I wasn't actually very confident about finding any of those things, but I knew that I wanted to try. And soon I began to look forward to the time each evening when I shut the door, lit a candle, and let myself be with God. Then one week, we were asked if we could imagine what we sounded like to God, if we could hear ourselves as God might hear us. I really didn't expect to get anywhere with that idea, but I did try. And what happened was that I heard a voice that I did not recognize say my name distinctly, tenderly, and lovingly. I was absolutely unnerved, really shocked. Just for that moment, I was completely, literally beside myself. I can still feel now exactly how I felt then. Certain that I was loved, even as I was struggling to grasp that I was actually not the person I had always thought I was in my everyday life. Several years later, there was another crisis. This time, in a few seconds, my world turned upside down. I had to act, but I couldn't even think. I managed to get out of my front door with most of what I needed, and I found myself walking down the street, shouting at God. It was early evening, dark and drizzly. I have no idea if anyone saw or heard me, but I continued to yell until I approached the bus stop and realized that I needed to stop if I wanted to be allowed to get onto a bus. I was, by anyone's standards, completely beside myself. But for the rest of a very upsetting evening, I was quite calm. And that night I knew that God's grace was filling all of us, enabling us all, though very confused and in pain, to treat each other considerately, to carry on. And I knew that I could yell at God as well as sitting and listening. Life is a bit less busy nowadays, and lockdown has given me even more time that I have to choose how to spend. I have kept my habit of sitting quietly in God's presence, but I don't fret if that's not possible. I think it does encourage me to be more loving because I am more confident of God's love, whatever happens. I also think I'm beginning to know what Julian of Norwich means when she says, the best prayer is to rest in the goodness of God, knowing that that goodness can reach right down to the lowest depths of need.